Pull up a bar stool. All right, so it's time to continue a little series I've got going on right now, where I'm reminiscing. Excuse me, because I just hit that 10-year anniversary of my business, or when this all started. I got laid off, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I've already gone through the first 4 episodes basically covered that first year. Now we're going to go through an entire year in this fifth episode. Now I got to tell you, this is a big, important year for me. If I could bottle a single year and give it to you, and let you shake it up and pop that bottle and allow the good feelings and wisdom shower over you, it would be this time period. It's September of 2012 to August of 2013. I was confident, focused, passionate. It was fun. And what the money wasn't really flowing yet, but we're doing some good stuff. So just enjoy this with me. Grab your drink if you don't have one. Sit back, relax, pop a bottle. Let's do it. All right. Hey, everybody. John Loomer here from johnloomer.com and John Loomer Digital on Facebook. I'll be your host today, another episode of the PUBCAST. Today's beer, Mama's Little Yellow Pills from Oscar Blues Brewery. They don't pay for the show or anything. I'm just having a beer. Wow, man, going through this series has been a trip for me, but I guess it's the research that has been even more fun, because a lot of this is a blur. These first couple of years for me were just a blur. And while that first year was kind of full of these, tough feelings and obstacles and lack of confidence, and you could even say depression. Boy, oh boy, that next year, I started hitting my stride, and content-wise, and we'll always start with content, just because I will tell you all day, every day. That's kind of it should be the linchpin, the source of everything you do. It doesn't have to be blog posts. It could be videos. It could be podcasts. It could be whatever. Mine, the central spoke to my marketing wheel, my strategy, was blogs. From September 2012 to August 2013, I wrote 277 blog posts. I'll let that sink in a little bit, right? So that's pretty close to one blog post per day. Unlike the first year, where it was like I was trying to figure out, where my focus was, and I was doing stuff about personal use of Facebook and Pinterest and Twitter, YouTube, Google Plus, you name it. My focus now is heavily Facebook marketing, Facebook advertising, maybe a little bit of blog strategy in there, sprinkled in. But I am hyper-focused, and you can start to see the results. I'm starting to get some recognition and some payoff. More than 2 million page views during that second year. So more than 1 million users visited my website during that span. Now, that said, it wasn't all necessarily the content that I was now focused on, all the good stuff, right? All the Facebook ad stuff and, trying to drive relevant traffic and business. Now, the number one driver, which I mentioned this last time too, because a lot of this is still old traffic, which is kind of the, I guess unfortunate part, because it's like, man, you spend so much time writing these 277 blog posts. These aren't the ones that are driving the most traffic, but it's also why you write 277 blog posts. One of these things is going to hit, some of them from the past. So that dimensions for Facebook timeline for pages was like, that was the thing that people were going to for the longest time. 285,000 page views. So was that like an eighth or so of my total, maybe, yeah, could have even been more than that, of my total traffic went to that one. And that was a relevant post. So that was an infographic and a resource for people. Now, it wasn't necessarily advertising, but it was at least marketing. That said, a lot of those same blog posts we talked about during the last couple episodes that I wrote that was just chasing traffic, and it resulted in empty traffic because it was like about personal usage of Facebook and privacy and hoaxes and and getting a free ad coupon. How do you get one? Still getting those. So Facebook scare, I think it was unchecked comments and likes or whatever. It was a hoax. 53,000 page views. Still getting those. New Facebook profile photo size, that at least marketing, 52,000 page views. Hover over my name, Facebook hoax, 39,000. Should you buy Facebook likes? The answer was no. And this wasn't about ads. It was like people who were actually buying Facebook likes. But it was answering, because back then a lot of people were doing it. And I was trying to tell you, no, you should not. So that was somewhat relevant, 33,000. How to convert a profile to a page. I still get people going to this thing. So that was a good one. 32,000. $50 ad coupon, 31,000. Turn off close friend notifications, 28,000. So it was a mixture. But the main thing was driving traffic. Lots of it. Finally starting to pay off for that. But I'm also keeping my head down and focusing on relevant content now, where I know what my focus is. And it's going to pay off for the long haul. We're going to get into a little bit more of the details now here. I need a drink, though. Let's go. Cheers. All right, so some of the stuff I was doing from those 277 blog posts. First of all, I started a vlog. Does anyone even use vlog anymore? Video blog. I barely remember doing this. I know it's on YouTube. I'm looking at one right now from May of 2013. It was my 22nd vlog. So I obviously did a few of these. But I was trying to diversify a little bit. So that's one thing I did. I also started conducting interviews. They started out as blog post interviews, so I would send them questions, they would send them back, kind of thing, and then provide like the whole recap of the interview, and then those ended up moving over into podcasts. But this, I gotta tell you, I don't know if I really would have called it a strategy at the time, but in terms of me getting known, going through other people's audiences, it was big. Jim Belosic, Short Stack. You'll recall I was using Short Stack. That's when I was actually doing, affiliate marketing a little bit too. So that Short Stack was a really important part of my business at the time. Andrea Vall / Grandma Mary, good friend of mine. I did an interview with her. Amy Porterfield, Mari Smith. I would say those two probably most critical in helping me reach a new audience, getting known, getting some respect. Mike Megsoudi, do you remember him? He is a big part of why the PUBCAST is the PUBCAST, by the way. I was going to talk about that a little bit later. Marcus Sheridan, big reason for why my blogging strategy is what it is. America Renault from Agora Pulse, good friend of mine. John Hayden, rest in peace. Great guy. He and I worked together, talked together a lot back then. Jeff Ferguson, Danny Brown. So I was doing these regular interviews. And man, oh man, just kind of going through that. Look, I'm not big into this hustle culture, right? And I don't know if I would say that's what I was doing, but I was so hyper focused and passionate because it was those interviews, it was the blog posts, it was, I did another website redesign. Oh, can I find it? Yeah. So it seems like I was doing another one of these every few months, and I wanted to be more mobile friendly. So I stuck with Genesis Framework at the time, and I used their Epic Child theme. So that was the big thing. I wanted to be mobile friendly. And going through that blog post, a big part of it too was I changed my tagline. Where is it? Oh, it's in there somewhere. Tagline change for advanced Facebook marketers. Huge, my friends. I think it was a combination of, yes, that was the tagline. Second of all, it was a matter of, for me, was understanding that, not just for the public reading it. So that is back in July of 2013. So that was big. I started writing a lot more about Power Editor. We'll get more to that in a moment. But let's talk about some of the stuff I wrote about, because it's really kind of a trip. But I need a drink before we do that. Cheers. So the nice thing about writing, like almost every day, is it ended up being a timeline of what new features Facebook was rolling out or what was going on during that time. Because I wrote about it. No matter when that was kind of my thing back then. Everybody said, as soon as something came out, I went and checked out your blog because I knew you were going to write about it. Oh boy, promoted posts. So this was the initiation of the boost button. I missed that. It was back in June of 2012. So it was during the prior year, but it was right before the end of what would have been my last episode as we were kind of going through that section. So that boosted post option was called promoted post back in June of 2012. Sponsored results. Do you remember that? It was a Facebook search ad. Sponsored results back in September of 2012. Email custom audiences came out for the first time, September 2012. You could run ads for your personal profile. You remember that? That was a little experiment Facebook ran. October of 2012. Promoted page. So it was almost like instead of boosting your posts, you're boosting your page. Again, this is entirely from your page instead of using Ads Manager or Power Editor. January 2013. Facebook ads conversion tracking, create an offsite pixel. Big change, big development. So that's just a matter of adding a conversion. That's before there was like this general traffic pixel. It was just you had a conversion pixel and then a remarketing pixel, if I remember correctly. The conversion pixel was for tracking conversions, and you had this other. It was crazy, but offsite pixel, which was poorly worded, poorly labeled, was a conversion pixel. January 23rd, 2013. Graph search, Facebook offers. Domain sponsored story. What? It's like so many of these, like I don't even remember them anymore. You could promote shares from your website with a domain sponsored story. February 2013. A new news feed that everybody's freaking out about. Probably the new news feed. March 2013. Lookalike audiences. March 2013. Partner categories. April 2013. FBX. Do you remember FBX? So basically that was before. So there wasn't even the ability to do website remarketing. So that offsite conversion pixel, that was just for tracking. There was no remarketing yet, other than using a third party. And that was FBX, a Facebook exchange, I believe it was. I wrote that in May of 2013. New Facebook Insights came out July 2013. Facebook ad reports. What did we do before ad reports? I have no idea. July 2013. I made a note of this because I thought it was kind of funny. August 27th, 2013. New newsfeed algorithm change. No more memes are asking for likes. No more memes. Well, I feel like everything's a meme on Facebook these days. So there was a temporary algorithm change that no longer seems to apply. So that was kind of a rundown of the content. Man, there's just so much. Can you believe all this happened in 1 year? You won't believe what else happened in that year. All right, let's get a drink. Cheers. It's one of those, going through this year, like I could have broken it up, I guess, but I'm just kind of overwhelmed by the volume of stuff that I did, and I'm kind of proud of it. I did have a couple lead magnets. I used, where is it? Dominate the data. Facebook Insights Helper. So basically I created an Excel doc, I think, that, so you downloaded you downloaded your insights and you pasted it in somewhere, and it automatically kind of spit out some reports for you that made it easier to digest. That was, I thought, kind of innovative. How the pros use Facebook advertising, free ebook. So, man, I had a really tight relationship. Excuse me, man. This Mama's little yellow pills, good for burps. Anyway, really tight relationship with Short Stack back then, and I partnered with them to write an ebook. And they allowed me to keep, I guess, all the opt-ins. I don't even remember how that arrangement worked. So, yeah, how the pros use Facebook advertising. So, I was really starting to focus on ads. This was July 2013. The Facebook Insights Helper was October of 2012. So those are my lead magnets. Oh, goodness. And then my podcast. So back in January 18th, and I'm really mad because I can't find this actual recording. I've even got a file name and everything. I can't find it. Pull up a bar stool with Mike Megsudi. And I remember it still to this day, and I feel like we recorded it using video, but I remember we both grabbed beers, and I think we had a few, and maybe got a little bit too saucy. But that led to my first ever podcast or PUBCAST episode, February 1st of 2013. And what's crazy is it started with the whole pull up a bar stool. And eventually I started adding the breaks of the cheers and the last call, but not a whole lot's changed. We had a lot of the same sound effects and everything. And I think I actually went away from it for a while and changed things up, and I'm like, I like the way it was before. Besides the podcast, you know what? There's a big one that I want to separate that I want to talk about, but I'm already doing pretty well on this. Let's take a quick drink. Cheers. All right. So I want to talk about the impact of Social Media Examiner on me, especially during those days. So when I was researching in those early days about what in the world am I supposed to do? Like, how do I start a website? How do I blog? Well, all that stuff. I was just Googling stuff. And I was like, where are the best marketing blogs and blah, blah, blah. And I found Social Media Examiner. I found their top 10 list. And I remember thinking, first of all, I used that to, that those are blogs I'm going to start following. And I'm going to learn a lot from those people. And I did. And some of it's good and bad, right? And they're all good bloggers. But I will tell everyone to this day, use it as a guide, as a starting point, as like, this is what I did. Don't copy it. Don't feel like you have to do what they did. Find what works for you. But back then I had no confidence. I didn't know what to do. So I did a lot of like, oh, you said to do this, I'm going to do that. And then I found my way, and I eventually found what worked best for me. So I guess starting point's good. Point was, so started following all them. I also said, you know what? I'm going to be on that list. And what is pretty awesome is that I ended up being on that list. I'm just, man, where is it? I can't find. Oh, yeah. So January 28th, 2013, I can still remember like how happy and just empowered I felt once it was announced that I was on that list. I was like, I have officially made it. All this work I've put in, matters. And I knew that being on that list would be just like what happened with me. When I found the original list, I was like, oh, these people I have to follow, they're going to do the same thing. There was a time I was definitely following, like, okay, how much traffic do I get from that? And I definitely got some, but you got to remember, 2 million page views in this year. Some of that may have come from this. I was doing pretty well already, though. But I ended up being on that list 3 years in a row. They listed me number 1 the next year, whatever that means. But that was just amazing. It was a whirlwind for me, coming from having no confidence, not knowing what I'm going to do, writing about all kinds of random crap, writing and feeling like no one's reading it, to being recognized in this way was pretty great. I went to social media marketing world in April, I believe, of 2013. And that may have been the first ever social media marketing world. And I went as a guest of Emmerich Ernol and Agora Pulse. I'm telling you, burps all over the place here. My apologies. They paid my way, and I guess we all stayed in the same room. So you paid my ticket. Didn't need a new room, but that was huge. Seeing it, and that was another exposure to like, seeing people speaking with this huge audience. Like, because I had gone to allfacebook.com in New York. They had an event there that I spoke at. It was very small. And that was my first, like, oh, I've kind of made it moment. And then when I went to the social media marketing world, and it was like a couple thousand people. And, like, first of all, I was like, these are my people. But I was like, man, if I could speak here, I think you know where we're going with it. It didn't happen yet, right? It was going to be the following year, and that was going to be a whole nother story. But so that was, and I learned a lot. I remember from being there, I did this podcast episode, I think, of like what I learned there, and part of it was like how I was going to update my podcast. So Social Media Examiner is a huge, Mike Stelzner, I know you're not listening, but thank you for everything. That was a big part of my development, starting that at that point, and really at the very beginning, that top 10 list of like, where do I start reading it? And that inspiration, that motivation, huge. Thank you. Beer time. Cheers. Yeah, maybe this beer is stronger than other beers because I feel like I'm all over the place today, and almost a giddy way. Product time. We want revenue, right? Really interesting thing to me, the eye-opening part, going back through all this. I thought I launched my first training course way earlier than I actually did. And it just blows my mind how long it took before I launched a training course. So Facebook page, strategic review, horrible product, by the way. A trained eye for a small price is what I called it. $97. I think I ended up providing 3 different packages: platinum, gold, silver. And so I would basically review your Facebook page, and I'll provide like a video review where I go through everything of what I like and what I don't like. I had a document that goes through all that stuff. And there were specific things I was focused on. So naming conventions, description, categorization, optimization, imagery, use of Facebook tabs, posting best practices, diversity of content, engagement strategies, Facebook terms of service if you're following, strategic suggestions. It's just, oh man, that was my first product. And I remember when I launched it, that was one of those where this is what I tell everybody who's like doesn't know what to do and if they can even launch a product. I was like, okay, I'm just going to send an email to my list. I don't even have a product yet. And you could prepay it, $97. And if people buy it, great. If they don't, I don't have to create anything. And I think that was a kind of the benefit of doing it this way, where it was like, okay, I only create if someone buys it, even though it doesn't scale at all. Is that, I could just kind of cross my fingers and see what happens. And people bought it. I think the most expensive package was like $1,000 too. And I think, a handful bought that. What's crazy is that led to Facebook ad review. I do not remember doing that product at all. So for $149, I reviewed up to 3 current past or planned campaigns, 10-minute recorded video screen share of my feedback, specific recommendations for how each campaign could be improved, 1-page overview of my recommendations complete with helpful links. Wow. Seriously don't remember it, which means I don't know if I really sold any, which I had to. That was November of 2012. So the page review was October. I had a decent amount of success. 1 month later, did the ad review. And then a few months later, God, man, I'm telling you, this drives me crazy. Like the timeline of this, I completely flubbed. Like, I don't even remember these things happening. Like, I remember the big success of my first course. Facebook Insights, Master Facebook Insights in 30 days was another that didn't really get a bunch, but it at least got brought some revenue in. So it was a Facebook Insights exclusive workshop is what I called it. It included... So they're max, and this is one way I did it, right, to kind of make myself feel better. Maximum of 20 members, 2 small group workshops, 2 one-on-one coaching sessions, daily email lessons and tasks, and then I'd give you a Facebook page strategic review. It was $497, I believe, $497. I was still at the time. I was actually doing monthly retainers, and this would stop, I think, at the beginning of the next year. So this was March 22nd, 2013. I think it was January 2014. I no longer took on any consulting gigs. So I even said in here, I take on my minimum retainer is $2,500. That was a Marcus Sheridan suggestion, by the way. So that's a product I don't even remember doing. $497, or very vaguely remember. Now, here's the big one. Facebook Power Editor. So, this changed my life. This is the one I've talked about where I just sat down one day and said, I need to do a course. I don't know how many people are going to buy it. I've never done a course before. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to need special software because I didn't know how to create private content. And I'm pretty sure I sent out an email with a PayPal button. Said you can prepay for this $73.50. Half off. It's otherwise going to be $147. And that was on July 23rd, 2013. And like I said, that changed my life. The number of sales. Because remember, I've already started to position myself as being for advanced Facebook marketers. I've started creating content more and more on Facebook advertising and advanced Facebook advertising. So now I'm going to reach people who, and this is a very niche tool that no one knows how to use. And it's 5 sections: an introduction to Power Editor, creating a campaign and ad, intermediate strategies, advanced strategies, and a bonus, Facebook ad reports, Power Editor. Changed my life. I said it 3 or 4 times now. But it was a matter of like finally, okay, I think once I actually sent that email, it forced me to commit. So I think what happened was did a prepay, no course available yet. I'm going to work on that content in the meantime. So I think it was 3 weeks later that it was actually available. And then it moved to 147. And people kept buying it after that point as well. Everything changed. Now, there's so much more to talk about what happens after that. But, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Quick drink. Cheers. This one's kind of fun. What it costs to build a successful online business. February 12th, 2013. This is one of those cringeworthy blog posts, but it provides some perspective. I saw myself as being a successful online business because I was alive still, right? So I'm not. This is a year and a half later. So, and I had been named to Social Media Examiner's Top 10, feeling good about myself, on top of the world. You won't believe this. I spent $2,500 running my business for the first year. I spent so close to nothing. I broke it down by month. $200, like by month it was around $200, went up to $300. It's a point that went up to about $500. I was spending so little. I spent $750 on ads, $485 on accessories, $470 on email marketing, Aweber, $331 on software, $215 on domains, $145, that's it, on hosting. Oh, I spend way more than that now. $131 on meetings. I guess just going to coffee shops and stuff and getting coffee. Business registration, $50. And that was it. And, look, the truth is this. I was cutting every corner possible. I wasn't really doing much to create revenue. But $2,500, again, this isn't through that whole second year when I generated 2 million page views. But that's pretty impressive. Cringeworthy, but impressive. I think, and I even realized, and I noticed it down at the bottom of the post, I've got to invest in other stuff too. And I definitely did. I spend a way more than that these days. Obviously, really, that sounds ridiculous. $775, I think it was, in ads, most of it Facebook ads, because I was doing a lot of $1 a day, $2 a day stuff just to boost my business. And now, it's crazy, right? All right, let's finish this beer. Last call. I hope you enjoyed this. Boy, oh boy. So, again, this is a year. If I could do it all over again, I would. And that's not to change anything. It's just because I remember that feeling. That feeling's so different when you achieve something against all odds for the first time versus you're just trying to maintain it 10 years later. And that's where I am right now. And things get a little stale, and you're trying to keep that passion, reignite that spark. If there's a template for how I reignite that spark, this is it, that year. And it might be in a year or so that I'm gonna go back and look at that year again. I'm gonna use that as a guide. These are some of the things I need to do again. I think this is the start of something big. We're going to have one more episode. That third year is really important for other reasons. And we're going to talk about that then. Thanks for joining me, man. I've had so much fun doing this. I hope you're getting something out of it too. Please Let me know what you think of it, if it's been helpful to you, what your story is. Drop me a line at john@johnloomer.com. But regardless, if you made it this far, thanks for joining me. Until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.